All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Bitcoin Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Rob Wallace. It's been another monumental week on multiple fronts. First we've got Coinbase just suffered one of the worst data leaks in crypto history. Trump's first state visit abroad may have just rearranged the global chessboard, and over 100 million people were just exposed to Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, thanks to Stake and Shake now accepting Bitcoin payments at all locations. Bitcoin is holding up strong around $140,000, and we're heading into the weekend with plenty to unpack. So, yes, now I'd like to bring on to my stage here my co-host, Zach Smith. How you doing?
Hello, Robert. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Doing well. Another week in the books, another week closer to Bitcoin Las Vegas. And yeah, man, plenty to talk about.
Strong week for the markets as well. We ended up on a high note. We're going to finish up almost a full percent on the Dow. It's always good to see.
Yeah, it's as if all the craziness from 30 days ago just magically evaporated. Yeah.
Well, I think also in general, the market likes to climb a wall of worry. We're starting to get some certainty. We're starting to see that the world is not going to quite bifurcate the way that we were fearing. Maybe there'll be some shakeups, but overall people want to work out a deal, which I think is good for the market and certainty for pricing assets.
And that's just Trump's playbook, right? I mean, shoot for the moon, cause chaos, and then anchor up there and have people agree to something that's much more reasonable.
He's a tough guy to do deals with. You know, you think he's just crazy enough to blow something up, right? He's just crazy enough to maybe do the action that would, cut off his nose to spite his face. So it's an effective negotiation tactic if you can pull it off.
And yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's still got 3.5 years left on his last term. Let's see if he can really pull off this reawakening of America that he's promising about.
I think he knows that he's really only got 2 years. 2 years is really all you have as a president, especially with somebody as volatile as Trump. There's going to be midterm elections. There's going to be a swing back to the Democrats for in the House and Senate. So you kind of know this is the time to get everything done.
You got to go hard in the paint to start it off. Yes, I agree. Midterms are coming up, and the marginal Republican, those who are not as safely seated, will definitely back off from his more aggressive plans if it doesn't bode well in this beginning phase here.
And he's a scapegoat right now. It's an easy scapegoat for a guy who's running for re-election to blame any hardship on all the tariffs, all the shakeup. It's an easy one for politicians to point to as a way to try and get reelected or unseat their opponent.
So yes, before we get deeper into Trump, I want to start off today by talking about the revelations of the Coinbase hack. Since you don't know about this, I will actually bring up the message from Brian Armstrong.
I want to make you aware of a disturbing email that we received recently at Coinbase. It was a ransom note demanding $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for these attackers not releasing some information they claim to have obtained on our customers. Now, we like to do things transparently here at Coinbase, and so I'm going to respond publicly to these attackers by saying, no, we are not going to pay your ransom. In fact, I have a few next steps in mind that I'm going to share at the end of this video. But for the rest of you watching, wondering what happened, we did an investigation here, and these attackers have been approaching our overseas customer support agents, looking for a weak link, someone who would accept a bribe in exchange for sharing some customer information with them. Now, our support tools have limited access to customer information. There was no passwords or private keys or funds accessed as part of this. But customer support agents do have access to personal information like name, date of birth, address, etc. And attackers still want access to this information because it allows them to conduct social engineering attacks where they...
All right, so you haven't seen this before, right? What's your initial reaction to Brian, his demeanor, his crisis response?
I think it's actually pretty good, and I think it's always, you're a public company, you have to live in transparency. I think coming out and telling people what, maybe it's the truth, maybe it's not, but it seems like a reasonable truth. It's having your information hacked it doesn't seem like a hack into the actual system. It seems like just a data hack. So they're actually just going to be able to try to run scams on you. They're going to try and use Coinbase as a way to do it, but I don't know. It doesn't strike me as something so terrible.
Well, we'll get to that. But I mean, in the second half of this, he goes on to say that they are not going to pay this $20 million ransom. And instead, they are going to offer a $20 million bounty on the heads of the people who have done this.
Right? I love it. It's very Barbary pirate-esque. And all you history buffs out there. I don't know, they're a target. They're the largest, holder of cryptos in the world, maybe. So, I mean, they're going to be a target. You can't get into these ransom attacks, or else it'll never stop. It's such an easy way to pay ransoms via cryptocurrencies. You cannot open the floodgates if you're Coinbase.
Yeah, I agree with you. They are by far the largest exchange here in America. They've got over 13% of the total Bitcoin supply on their platforms, over 2.68 million Bitcoin. They custody over 120 billion for the ETFs. Michael Saylor has some of his Bitcoin there, of course. And yeah, they are one giant honeypot. So if you give in to one group, then you're going to have a whole lot more coming after you. But if we just bring this up here, we can see the Coinbase hack broken down into 7 cold bullets. 1, support agents overseas took bribes. 2, hackers got names, numbers, addresses. They have social security numbers.
Social security numbers is bad. I didn't hear that in his video. That's a problem. And IDs, I guess, yeah, because when you sign up, that's bad. Social security number and IDs is bad. That's a problem.
Yeah, so they have the last 4 digits of the social security. So it's not the full social, but still that's enough to do damage with, especially when you have the driver's license along with it, right?
Yeah, it can be. It can be.
And so there's a lot of technicalities in all of this, of course, and especially in the crisis response and what you say to the public. So he said that less than 1% of users affected, but it was less than 1% of monthly people who transact on the platform. So there's way more users than that. Like, plenty of people have set up a Coinbase account and then haven't touched it in years, right? So, but that data is still up there. So I don't think they really have a firm handle as to how much of the data was truly taken.
Yeah. I wonder what victims are being reimbursed means. That's kind of a vague bullet points.
Yeah.
Compensated for any sort of fraud that might happen, or just given a check. I wonder what that looks like.
Yeah. So in their letter to the SEC revealing this, they said that they are allocating between $180 to $400 million to reimburse customers from these scams. So again, nobody's crypto got hacked. This was all a bribe. Social engineers paid customer support people overseas to gain access to the information. And so now people are just getting flooded with texts, right? And calls saying from Coinbase support that their account has been compromised. They will give you a seed address to safe seed for you to move your crypto to. And then as soon as you send it over, boom, it's gone and you are stolen from.
I've had some of my altcoin wallets attempt to be hacked that way on Telegram. I remember, I think I told you about it one time. They get access. They say this is a verification of your seed phrase or something. And, these are small accounts phantom accounts that had really nothing in them, but it just further emphasize, tell all your viewers and everybody that never, ever, 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 ever give people your seed phrase, right? That's cannot be iterated enough.
No, and none of these exchanges will ever call you, right? They will never reach out to you, or they will never ask you to relay information that you get on your screen over the phone to them. So never trust anybody who reaches out that says that they are part of Coinbase or any exchange.
It's not a general trend of this stuff happening. I mean, you hear about all these stories, people stealing mail and then using that to try and hack bank accounts. I mean, it's unfortunately one of the common fraud cases that's going around right now. Something to definitely look out for, and tell your older family members about it too. It's pretty sad what happens.
Yeah, they definitely target boomers, right? They target older people who are not as tech savvy and will have are more inclined to trust people on the phone, I guess, who reach out to them. So last fall, June Sith, who's been in the Bitcoin scene forever, he recorded a conversation with one of these scammers, and he had tried this multiple times to finally get one of them to squeal, and he was able to do it by sort of being antagonistic and calling them some words and trying to poke at their pride. But the kid spilled the beans, and he's 19, 20 years old, living in like a mansion with a group of 6 other dudes who have been friends online since they were 13. They met over Minecraft, right? And they started these social engineering scams. And so it's not that difficult. The hardest part for them is to get this data, and because it costs a pretty penny to try to get these lists from the people who steal them from exchanges. But once they get these lists, I mean, they just spoof the emails. They've got a couple dudes working in tandem that they can hand each other off to. And these kids make millions of dollars a month.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, I get texts all the time from people. One of my friends actually got a text from Coinbase and sent it to our group chat saying, I got this text. It's obviously fake. I don't know if anybody gets it. If you haven't been watching the news, do not respond to Coinbase.
But the other interesting tidbit of this is that Coinbase knew about this since January. And the funny thing is, they come out with it, news publicly, 2 days after they get included into the S&P 500.
Interesting. That is interesting timing. I wonder if they did that to wait, obviously, until they get added, because they didn't want to have any blemishes on their mark. Being added to the S&P 500 is obviously a massive, massive tailwind for your business.
Yeah, and I mean, just on the last couple of days, like the Brian, his co-founder, and the CFO sold, I think, a total of like $20 million worth of Coinbase stock before this news dropped. I mean, a lot of these, of course, C-suites have like timed sells and like they're automatic, but at the same time, that's sort of it's a lot of money to sell right before you drop the news that you have the most devastating data leak in all of crypto history.
Especially if they're sitting on it. I mean, these guys are CEOs of public companies. I like to take the stance that they're not going to do something untoward if they're holding that many shares and they have that big of a position. I mean, they're going to get, that's things that the SEC go after, right? I think they would have to be pretty stupid to do something extremely untoward. I'd like to know if this is the window they requested to sell the shares 6 months ago. What's in relation to that, the timing of this release, when they knew it versus when they released it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Brian and Coinbase have a lot of political power now, right? I mean, they fought the SEC and they won, and they were the largest donor during the last election cycle. Hundreds of millions of dollars donated to get certain people elected into Congress and to help Trump. And they've got the political tailwinds at their back. So yeah, it's crazy dealings up there. Even at the highest levels, now that we think that this industry is fully front and center and legitimized, there's still a lot of backdoor shenanigans going on.
Not your keys, not your coins, right? I mean, Coinbase should be the gateway to crypto, not the final destination.
100%. Yeah. If you have any Bitcoin on Coinbase, get it off the exchange immediately. You're right. A lot of people start off their journey buying through Coinbase. If that's you and you no longer use it, contact them and tell them to delete your account, right? Hope that, I mean, this is only going to happen again, of course, as the holdings of Coinbase grow over time and they become more systematically important. So if you've got your information on that exchange and you don't use it anymore, tell them to delete it. And with the people are actually claiming that they're getting physical threats now. They can tell how much you've bought on Coinbase.
Yeah, they can see your 1099s. It's not something you want to mess around with. This is, especially if they have your home address. I mean, this is serious stuff. You don't want to mess around with. You don't want people threatening your family.
No. And I mean, unfortunately, one of the only surefire ways that if your information does get leaked and you are getting pestered nonstop and the threats do escalate, one of the only ways to really get out of it is to move, right? Is to change that address and to take your privacy to a whole new level. But it's a huge egg on the face. And the fact that they knew since January that things were going on and didn't say anything is pretty rough. But do you think that this is actually like a tough guy thing to do? Like him saying, I'm not going to pay a ransom, but I'm going to offer $20 million. Do you think it's all just bravado, or do you think they will, that's going to lead to something?
Again, I don't know. Rules of public companies, I don't know if you can pay people it depends on the nature of what they're going to do, right? To catch these people and expose them, sure. To threaten them with physical violence, obviously that's not allowed. If you're a public company now, you can't just send out $20 million in bounties to bounty hunters. I mean, it depends on the nature of it, right? If you're talking about, hey, look, we want to find these guys and let's bring them to justice. It's like if your kid is missing, or any reward towards the potential finding of this child, something like that. That's allowed, but it depends on the nature of what they're offering and threatening, I suppose.
I saw one funny comment that said, I mean, there's all this talk that Coinbase doesn't have the Bitcoin that they say they have, right? So somebody on X was saying they couldn't pay the $20 million ransom in Bitcoin because they don't have the Bitcoin.
I mean, do their holdings get audited? I thought they were audited.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coinbase has what they have. I think one of the best on-chain analysts that we have in the community is this guy, Sani. He lives in Lebanon, and he keeps track of these things on a daily basis, right? He's following all the flows, and he says that Coinbase has their coins, that they aren't selling paper Bitcoin. I think a lot of the paper Bitcoin claims are just people getting bored and wanting Bitcoin price to go up and seeing all these companies buying Bitcoin and not understanding why the price isn't moving. But
which brings us back to take your coins off these exchanges. I mean, anytime you have coins on exchanges, it allows these companies to leverage your assets for them to issue paper coins, for them to lend against coins. When you take them onto your cold wallet, cold storage, it is now off of any of these exchanges' use. They cannot use that to leverage. And I don't know what the fractal reserves have to be for these coin companies, but they're using your coins to transact. So it's another reason to take your coins off. You can potentially create a supply squeeze. Usually that's a good marker of what the Bitcoin price is going to do based on how many coins are on exchanges versus off exchanges. You float, so to speak, if you're using share terms, right? How many coins are in the float versus not able to be traded?
Yes, and as we can see here in this chart out of Bitwise today, where are these coins going? I mean, all these companies have bought in 2025 195,000 Bitcoin, right? The ETFs are bought in 163,000 Bitcoin, and DeFi 76,000, governments 14,000, mining pools 1,000 Bitcoin. Where are they getting it from? From individuals and private companies. This is the one that surprised me. I knew that a lot of whales were dumping, and that you could see that the Bitcoin supply was, I mean, people who have held Bitcoin since it was $100 all the way up to 100,000. You could see how they would want to change their life up a little bit by lightening up the load. But yeah, these private companies, I didn't know that there were so many private companies with this much Bitcoin who were willing to sell.
I wonder if it's also, I know a bunch of people that were swapping their Bitcoin holdings for holding the ETF for whatever reason. I know that was a trend. So maybe that has something to do with the individual and private companies selling them. So now they can hold them in a more secure way. Again, for leverage. If you can hold the ETF versus the Bitcoin, you can leverage off the ETF. You can, if you have margin capabilities with your bank, you could then go buy twice, 3 times as many as you had on Coinbase or on your DeFi cold wallet. So in that way, I sort of see why it makes sense to hold the funds and the public companies and the ETFs.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. By selling your Bitcoin and buying the Bitcoin ETF as a private company, you can take out more money against it and leverage it more, and you have more flexibility. So yeah, I mean, that has definitely been a big theme of the last year. People selling their Bitcoin to buy the Bitcoin ETF to diversify custody and to do these leverage plays. So
it's all about leverage. It's all about leverage. These guys you can buy 2 times as many Bitcoin, twice as much upside. You're paying a nominal marginal fee, 7, 10, 12% even. It doesn't matter. If you're long Bitcoin and you're a bull, it's extra juice.
Extra juice.
Gotta get extra juice always. Just going back to Coinbase, I mean, let's talk about, I always say this, forget about the news, what is happening in the action of the stock. Hopefully some viewers watched our show last week, and I don't know if we gave advice to buy Coinbase, but we definitely brought up that it was lagging, and now it's up 30%. And even on this news, I mean, it dipped for a little bit. It dipped down to 245, let's say 244, and then it popped right back up. It's up what?
It's up 7.5% today.
7.5% today, and usually resolutions actually are good for the market. This is a good lesson on how stocks trade. I mean, buy the rumor, sell the news, but in this case, it's the opposite because the rumor was bad. Once they actually are able to identify what the problem is and actually price it, it can actually be positive action on the stock. You saw with when those companies were getting in trouble for selling OxyContin and fentanyl, when there's a hanging penalty, stock was going down. Once there was actually resolution, stock would rip up. Uncertainty versus certainty. That's these things like to trade.
Yeah, and let's just zoom out on coin here. Yeah, it's still got a while to go to reach back to its 2024 highs of 347, currently at 263. But it doesn't seem too phased. You're right. I think that having resolution, Brian coming out and playing the tough guy, playing Liam Neeson with the black hoodie on, and the shaved head, saying he's gonna come for you, did well for the stock.
Yeah, listen, they're a public company. That's unfortunately what it's all about: returning capital to your shareholders. That's what they're doing. That's their main goal: not to protect your Bitcoin, not to protect your identity. That's a secondary goal for them.
And let's look at Bitcoin over the last 5 days. Just crazy. Just treading water, right?
Hanging in there. I mean, listen, it's always good. You want more time at a price, right? We look at the time at a price as much as the price action, and how much time and how much volume it trades at every price. So this is good action. This is less time spent at lower prices, more time spent at higher prices. This is all very, very normal for any sort of highly liquid asset.
Yeah, it's definitely had this magnet around 103, 104 for the last week. And if you look at the last month, I mean, we've just taken these ladders up. You plateau and ladder up and plateau. So Novogratz came out today, and I can actually bring up that video. He was saying that he thinks next stop could be
120, 125, I think he said.
Yeah, he's saying we're going to go to 130, 150, and then we're in price discovery.
1,000.
And I remember, by the way, when
kiss the People inherit the money for their old people.
Okay. Yeah.
About 104,000.
And I remember,
right now.
by the way, when we started to come back off the April lows, and maybe gold had the first move, and you said, when gold goes, what was the exact data point? It was like crypto follows, and sure enough, here we are.
Yeah, listen, we had a euphoric top right around the inauguration, and a combination of a lot of things, Trump coin and whatnot. People say, okay, and crypto went back and tested where the the election breakout was. Now it looks like we'll take out 106, 107, 108 and make the next leg to 130, 150. And at that point, you're in price discovery, right? I keep thinking gold's a $22 trillion asset and crypto's a $2 trillion asset. And at one point, as more and more young people inherit the money for their old people that, kiss the face of God, you're going to see crypto equal gold. And that's a long way from here.
Love price discovery on the up trajectory. I think that's kind of spot on. I mean, again, the more time it spends up here at these high levels, eventually you're going to either exhaust the sellers or the buyers. When it dipped down, I thought, honestly, when it was dipping down to 77, 78, I thought we might go back to pre-election prices. I thought we might hit 67, 65, maybe even high 60s. It just kind of really held strong at 79. So I think it looks like price discovery will be upward.
Yeah. It's shown resilience. It's just crazy how it just makes these moves, right? Of just a couple candles and it's just in a different $10,000 bracket, 2 days.
Highly levered. It's a highly levered asset. We have, there's tons of people trading it. Sellers will get exhausted. Shorts will get blown out. They'll have to rebuy. Same thing on the buy side. People are buying it with leverage. They get wiped out. It has to go down. It's just that's the nature of a largely regulated but very unregulated asset in terms of how it can move and who can buy it. Anybody can buy it. It's not beholden. It's 24/7 trading. You could catch low liquidity at certain times when somebody has to buy. Same on the other side. So it's just going to have these massive moves, and there's not a lot of people around to trade it.
And then if we look at gold on the other side, look at the 3-month. I mean, that's just flat, right? I mean, it's been struggling. It's definitely come up over the last 6 months, but gold led the way, and now Bitcoin is catching up. If you check out the latest piece by Infra, written for our newsletter Bitcoin Insights that came out just today, he takes a look at Bitcoin being close to these new all-time highs, what's been going on since Trump's Liberation Day, and what comparing Bitcoin to other things. So since Liberation Day, we see here that the S&P 500 has jumped off the level from which it closed at that day, went down hard, but has just been grinding up since then over the last month. But one thing that points towards economic weakness, you could say, is the fall in oil and the fact that it's stayed suppressed.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that we're gonna pump a lot of oil. They see us making. This is the next segment, making deals with Saudi Arabia. I mean, they want oil to be readily accessible for growth, right? I think going back to gold, gold does trade with real rates, and we did have real rates come down a little bit over the last month. So it's just going to move. It's going to move with real rates, meaning treasury rates minus inflation, right, which are down at 2.11 on the 10-year. So it's going to, gold's had a crazy run. I can't really knock it for being down 1%, but when real rates come down, real rates have been trending down a little bit, and that's going to hurt gold.
No, that makes sense. I mean, the oil play, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I remember back when we were kids, oil was $150 a barrel, right? I mean,
right.
And now it's 60, but gas is still $4 a gallon, right? How does that make sense?
Yeah, gasoline is different. We're normally looking at crude oil prices.
Yeah.
When we talk about it. Gasoline prices usually vary a little bit, but I mean, we're still stuck at 62. I mean, I mean, it kind of bounced off of 55, but it's still trending downward pretty strong. I mean, I don't know, do you want me to share my screen here? I don't know if I'm the right one here. So,
Yep. Cool. Got you.
this is crude prices. That's quarterly. Let's go to like the 5-year. Oh, it's coming. And this is the chart I was talking about. This is real rates versus gold. This is the blue. This white line is real rates. Again, that's the 10-year minus inflation, which is 2.25. Call it. This is so we see them at 211, and this is the gold price. So it's. I mean, it's. I guess I don't know. Would you call that correlated? Slightly.
Slightly.
This is the 5-year crude chart. This is pretty interesting. Obviously, this starts. This is an interesting part. This is when crude went negative. For that, negative 40 went to holding costs, and people were emptying out their swimming pools so they could hold crude oil. But since peaking in 2022, it's been on a trajectory down. I think, and obviously with since Trump got elected, really, or since he took office, and what is this? This is right when he took office. It's been going down, which makes sense. He's released a lot of the restrictions that were in place under Biden that allow people to drill more.
Yeah. Remember peak oil? Remember when people thought we were running out of oil? And that's what almost direct, like it was one of the main reasons that we went into the Middle East and invaded Iraq and wasted all those trillions of dollars.
Oil is the second most abundant liquid on the planet,
It is, really? Oh, wow.
Yes. After, obviously, H2O, it is the second most abundant liquid on the planet. There's plenty of oil. Don't let people tell you any different.
Yeah, I mean, the only really constraining factor is human time, right? Like, if you have enough people who want a resource bad enough, they will put the ingenuity of the whole entire human race behind it so that you can get more of it and get it cheaper. And that's what we've seen across time. And the only commodity that does not play by those rules is Bitcoin.
Yep, only unrestrained. I mean, that's why it's similar to gold, right? Gold's had this. Let's go to the 5-year here. I'm gonna pull up the data here. This is this is real rates as relative to gold. That's funny. It's a weird looking chart, but gold maybe was lagging a little bit, but real rates obviously gone from negative when we were we had really low rates in 2021, and then we started hiking here. Gold price sort of lagging, and that's why, again, if you look at, let's do now SP index. SP index also kind of relative. This is the orange line. Real rates are really the culprit for a lot of things happening, right? They always say, don't fight the Fed. It's all about rates. Let's go to the 10-year here. This is on price. Let's go to yield. Oh, it's not a great looking chart, but it's showing that we are yield sort of still pretty high, 4.42 rates on the 10-year. Definitely creeping up. The long end of the curve is still going up, and so is the short end. I mean, the 2-year is doing the same thing. It's up above 4 now, which means we're now really only pricing in. I would say, 1 cut now, right? I mean, what rates are at 4.25? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, Jerome, I mean, many people blame him for being behind the curve at all times, but it seems from a
4.5, I guess, is the upper end of the curve. But 4.25 to 4.5 is really what it is. So obviously these are when the Fed cuts. But what we're seeing is that 4.25 to basically now 4.25 to 4, like pricing in really only like 1 to 2 cuts now versus 2 to 4, which what we had, few months ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, the data coming in this week shows that there's really no signs of recession, right? I think that the data has been a lot more rosy than people thought, and that Jerome can sit pretty. He can keep that ammunition in his back pocket and not have to cut until something bad happens, right?
Yeah, you want to have room to cut. I mean, I think it's you want room to cut in case there's a issue like COVID, right? There's a supply shock, or the Fed bonds aren't as well bid. You want to be able to. That's the easiest way to stimulate the economy, right? Lend more money.
Print more money.
It's just the easiest way. There's just until they find a different one, this is going to be the way they do it. Choop, choop, choop.
Yeah. Yes, and monetary policy decided by men. Not the best when you've got one decided by set in stone that is reliable, like Bitcoin.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Let's move on to our second story of the day. We've got this guy, number 47, flew to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, to make a 4-country stop over 4 days, to make some big deals as his first trip abroad. And this speech was pretty monumental.
Yes.
Here in this post here, it said, Trump's Saudi speech all but puts the final nail in the coffin of globalism. Trump said, we will forge a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism. This great transformation has not come from Western intervention, where people flying in beautiful planes tell you how to live or how to govern your own affairs. He has to say beautiful about the F-35s. Prosperity was not built by nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits, those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing. In the end, the nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built. Peace and prosperity did not come from rejecting your heritage, but from embracing your heritage. So yeah, I mean, just those 4 little paragraphs right there show quite the change of America's foreign policy stance, of what we saw in that region from, of course, 20 years ago, but even in Joe Biden's term too, right? I mean, the idea that America can just go and swing around and take out leaders and replace them with a puppet doesn't really work that much anymore. We almost lost some F-35s to Houthi rockets that cost very little compared to the hundreds of millions that these fighter jets cost. And I think even an aircraft carrier was put at risk. They had to do some maneuvers, and some planes fell off the aircraft carrier because of their evasive maneuvers. So yeah, the power projection and the way that things are going to be done is very different. And this is the opening of a new era. I mean, Elon was there, Sam Altman was there, of course, the Secretary of Defense and Bessent and all the biggest players went to Saudi Arabia and the Middle East for this trip. And I think Matthew Pines here, he sums it up quite well. So there's this grand new order that's happening, and it's going to be based on deal making, right? What does the Middle East have? They have the energy, of course, but they've also got the capital.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did they do? Saudi committed to buying $600 billion of treasuries in U.S. infrastructure and natural gas and AI power assets, while a Brent oil $75 to $85 guardrail is put up. So in order to create the infrastructure for the AI movement that is coming next, you need massive amounts of energy. America is the largest producer of oil at this time, but still you cannot discount Saudi Arabia and all the other oil producers over there. So this really is a power play between America and China. And the decision is, are we going to alienate and isolate the Middle East? Or are we going to try to get them on our side? Under Biden, there was the chips restriction that we applied to China also applied to the Middle East. Saudi Arabia was not allowed to get the latest NVIDIA chips. So Trump has lifted that, right? So it's this grand deal with arms, with AI chips, with energy, and then here he also brings up Bitcoin, Matthew Pines. He says this is a monetary hedge corridor. The petrodollar recycling is matched by surging gold purchases and a pilot sovereign Bitcoin reserve program that roots a slice of oil revenues into Bitcoin cold storage as a long-term hedge. So, I mean, the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund released their latest filings saying that they purchased more of the IBIT ETF, Bitcoin ETF, bringing their total holdings to over $800 million worth of the Bitcoin ETF. So, yeah, these guys in the Middle East, they've got a lot of money. They've been recycling dollars for a long time now. And I mean, we saw over the last 5 years, they've been making deals with China, accepting renminbi for oil, accepting gold from China for oil. But Bitcoin could be this net neutral reserve asset that makes this whole entire monetary reordering a lot smoother for everyone and a lot less hairy for a country like America who's trying to force people to use the dollar, right?
Yeah, I think it's also good to point out that, I mean, even before this, you see a lot of the big financial institutions of the United States already setting up headquarters in Riyadh, not in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They're setting them up in Riyadh, which I thought was interesting, and that was over a year ago. I believe they made those plans. So, and even before the October 7th attack, Hamas on Israel, the relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia were starting to warm up. There's going to be some interflights. There's going to be more exchange of goods. So, I think bringing Saudi Arabia into the fold, so to speak, is a positive for the region overall.
Peace in the Middle East. Yeah, let's see if Trump can do it. But it's very interesting, the deals that are going on at this time, and it really makes a lot of sense for Bitcoin to be, if not just discussed, but to be underpinning some of these movements here. Yes.
Well, what's it going to do to dollar hegemony, right? Is it going to create more of a demand for dollars or less of a demand for dollars, right? What's it going to mean for people transacting in dollars? Is it going to mean people are going to be more comfortable holding dollars or less comfortable holding dollars? These are all the things that will affect Bitcoin macro more in the future. So it's all very interesting what will play out in the Middle East.
Yes. So going back over the latest news of the day as we wrap up this week, the one last thing I wanted to touch upon is this. Today, Steak and Shake enabled Bitcoin payments at all 393 locations across America. You can go to any Steak and Shake, whip out your Lightning wallet, scan the QR code as you see right here, and pay for your burger and beef tallow fried fries in Bitcoin.
Oh.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, that might be one of, if not the largest exposures to Bitcoin as a medium of exchange that America has ever seen. People always complain Bitcoin's slow. You can't buy a coffee with it. Well, no, man, you're wrong. You absolutely can. The Lightning Network has come a long way over the last 5 years, and it's at the point where there's enough liquidity in the network for anybody who wants a burger at Steak and Shake to go out there and pay for it instantly using the Lightning Network. It's really cool stuff. And as you can see here on the receipt, the amount paid, 20,078 sats, exchange rate $1 to 966 sats, fiat amount $20.78. So, I mean, yeah, we are in the year 2025, and we are seeing receipts in America with sats on them. It's happening. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. From the highest level of strategic Bitcoin reserves down to your local burger franchise where you can go and pay with Bitcoin.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Brave new world.
Brave
Folks.
new world. You're in Florida. Have you any steaky shakes around you?
No, I'm gonna go check one out though for sure. I want the beef tallow fries. I love fries cooked in beef tallow.
Yeah, Adweek put out a little article about the fact that they were doing this week, and the subtitle was this was preordained by the fact that they started frying their fries in beef tallow. So yeah, the based movement is moving. RFK Jr., another Bitcoiner, he was singing the praises of Steak and Shake for making the move to beef tallow. And then I guess they went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole after he was touting their praises. So yeah, man, it's cool stuff.
It is. I do have to wrap it up though. I have to get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was great chatting with everybody.
Yeah, no, a lot of fun. We do this every Friday, close out the week in the afternoon as markets are closing down, give you a nice roundup of the biggest events in Bitcoin, in markets, and tell you what we're seeing out there in this big, crazy world of ours. All right, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. We will be back next week. And until then, let's go Celtics.
Let's go Celtics. Big game tonight.
Big game. Let's get it. All right, Zach. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.